in great detail, suggested rifles should be trained on former Representative Liz Cheney. This must be disqualifying.
Kamala Harris and the Democrats must have some of the worst internal polling we've ever seen, because in the final days up to the election, they are grasping at straws and straight up making up a story about Donald Trump that does not exist. Of course, as we just heard, Kamala Harris saying that he is calling for the execution, political violence against one of his rivals, against Liz Cheney. When, as a matter of fact, this is exactly what he said in full context.
And Cheney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter. But his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
So in this very frank discussion with Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump is simply saying Liz Cheney is a war hawk. And all these bureaucrats, they're all essentially the same. They want to send our young men overseas to fight in these places and die. And for what? Spreading freedom, spreading democracy, or rather just trying to line the pockets of the military-industrial complex. So how would she feel if she was the one on those front lines with all of the rifles pointing at her? So this is clearly what Donald Trump said. However, the media had to take it upon themselves to try to save the floundering Kamala Harris campaign and turn this into some kind of big deal.
4 days out from Election Day, and former President Donald Trump is escalating his violent rhetoric, suggesting one of his most prominent critics, the former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, should be fired upon. Let's see how she feels when the guns are trained on her face. Let's sit with that for a moment. Of course, violent rhetoric, it's not new for Trump. But this stark imagery represents an escalation at a tense moment when the country is on edge heading into Tuesday, with 7 in 10 Americans saying they feel anxious or frustrated about the election, according to a new AP poll.
So basically for 24 hours, this was the narrative on every mainstream media network. Donald Trump has made threats against Liz Cheney. Get her lined up against the wall. It's a firing squad time. When, as a matter of fact, he was simply just saying these war hawks don't care because they have no skin in the game. They're not sending their kids. It's not them on the front lines. It's just a random faceless American who they want to use to line their pockets. But of course, all of this rhetoric has ramped up to the point where even the Attorney General in Arizona is now investigating Donald Trump for possible threats of violence.
And Bram Resnick, the political anchor and reporter from our NBC affiliate in Phoenix, KPNX, joins us. Talk about this breaking news regarding Donald Trump's comments that he made about Liz Cheney in Arizona last night. The Attorney General is responding?
That's right. I just spoke to Attorney General Chris Mays about 2 hours ago for the taping of my Sunday show. She told me she just gotten off the phone with her criminal division chief, and she was investigating whether what Donald Trump said about Liz Cheney constituted a death threat under Arizona law. I'll tell you, under Arizona law, it is illegal to make threats or intimidate someone. Can be charged as a Class 1 misdemeanor, Class 6 felony. Chris Mays told me they're looking into it. I asked her whether this was just political speech, free speech. She said we're checking to see if it crossed that line. But she also put it in the larger perspective. If you're here right now, you begin to understand how this place is ready for a high security event on Tuesday, an election. Our sheriff's office is talking about a no tolerance policy for protests. Chris Mays is activating all her agents. Every law enforcement agency in the state is involved with protecting the vote, protecting voters. So that's Chris Mays brought that into the conversation, that for Donald Trump to make these kinds of remarks at this time, such a really fraught and tense moment here in Maricopa County, is just bad.
So you'd think that the Attorney General of Arizona would have enough of a brain to simply just watch the clip in full context and say, you know what? Donald Trump was simply just making a point about the Warhawks. That's it, okay? Everyone can see this as clear as day, unless you're trying to score political points against Donald Trump right before the election. And even people like Bill Maher are able to see this for exactly what it is, a bunch of garbage.
Statement. I woke up today to the headline that Trump had called for a firing squad for Liz Cheney. And this is what I really don't like about the media. No, he didn't. He did not. You don't have to move me to not like Donald Trump.
He says more so many shitty things. Why do you have to do that? And by the way, if you don't realize it,
here's what he said. He's criticizing her for being a war hawk. I mean, she is Dick Cheney's daughter. He said, she's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay. Let's see how she feels about it. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, we'll send tens of thousands of troops right into the mouth of the enemy. Now, of course, he expresses himself horribly. He has to add she's a stupid person because he's a moron.
Well, Trump knows what it's really like from Vietnam.
Okay. But just to be clear, this is exactly what hippies always said. This is exactly what peaceniks always said. This is Fortunate Son, the song. It's like, you know what? It's very easy to sit in your building and send young men to die, apropos of Ukraine, because, I don't know, that war doesn't look like it's going in the right direction.
Not at all, no.
But just so, you know, just don't lie to me. I don't like Donald Trump. Don't lie to me and tell me he wants in front of a firing squad. He was saying something that, by the way, if it came out of the mouth, some of it, not the stupid part, again, sounds like what hippies used to say about Bill, not sending people to, yes.
I agree with you on the lying. I mean, that is ridiculous and absurd and counterproductive. But when did Donald Trump ever criticize a war hawk the way a hippie did? I mean, was it during Vietnam? He got out of going to Vietnam, but he didn't criticize the war, the Iraq war.
Jamie, I'm not defending Trump.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, don't lie to me.
I agree with that. I mean, that's just a distortion.
It's counterproductive. I mean, the number of Trump people you talk to who talk about the media and giving them any ammunition like this. I mean, I saw headlines, chyrons on television this morning saying that Donald Trump had said that Kamala Harris should be executed. I mean, at the beginning of that kind of rambling, incoherent thing, she said, give her a weapon, which is not typically something you do to someone.
And again, the spirit of it is something that if someone with the blue hat said it, people would nod along on the left. Yes, exactly.
There's plenty of things he says that you don't have to invent them.
This is why Donald Trump is so popular with the people who used to be Democrats, who are the centrists. It's because he is anti-war. He doesn't want to send our young men and women to die in all these foreign places for no purpose whatsoever, right? It doesn't make any sense. And Bill Maher is correct. This used to be hippie talk. This used to be the Democrats' domain, the leftists. And if someone in a blue cap had said this exact same thing, most people would be applauding it. But instead, since Donald Trump said it, oh, he's clearly calling for the assassination of his political opponent. We've got to prosecute him. These are threats and they must be stopped, right? So it's completely ridiculous because everyone sees the garbage, the double standard that is placed on Donald Trump. And even people like Bill Maher can recognize it. And that's when you know you've lost the plot. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.